story of the Exodus? Of course you do. As a matter of fact, it's one of the most popular stories ever told in the entire Old Testament. Just in case you're not following, I'll remind you. Moses gets together with the Pharaoh. He's trying to get the Israelites free of Egypt. The Pharaoh don't want to do it. Moses gets angry. God gets even angrier. There's plagues, boils, gnats, frogs, this, that, and the third. And all heck is breaking loose until finally God has had enough. And he says to Moses, tell the Pharaoh that if he don't do what I'm asking him to do or commanding him to do, then tomorrow morning he's going to wake up and the firstborn of everything is going to be dead throughout Egypt. Well, the fact is, Pharaoh didn't, so God did. There's the story. The firstborn of everything dies, Israel leaves, velvet robes part, life goes on. Except there's a bigger picture here. God also instructed Moses in the middle of all of this. He said to Moses these words. He said, I want you to take some blood from a young ram, and I want you to place it over the doorpost of all who are of Israel. He explained to Moses that when the angel of death comes through town, he'll first look at the doorpost of every house. If there's blood, he'll walk past. If there's not blood, the firstborn of everything gets wiped out. Now here's a scenario. There's two houses on Pleasant Street. The first house, everybody inside is worshiping. They're singing, they're dancing, they're shouting, they're tongue-talking, floor-flopping, running in circles. It's a real Pentecostal hoedown in that place. And the Spirit of God is doing fantastic things. It's revival inside of this house. And it is awesome. But then there's the next house. As you enter the front door, you notice that there's a couple underneath the dining room table. They're hiding because they're scared to death. Why are they scared? Because just about 10 minutes ago, they've done a little bump of cocaine. If you go throughout this house, you'll find that there's sin everywhere, all over the place, no matter what. Sin, 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 sin. Everybody and everything in this house is just sinful. It's nasty, it's disgusting, it's ugly. Now, we got those two houses in mind. Here comes the angel of death. The first house, before he gets there, he hears the singing and the shouting and the dancing and the praising and the running. Let me ask you a question, just on a rabbit trail. If there was no blood on that first house, would it really matter how much they worship or sing or dance? Probably not. But the angel of death gets to that house, looks at the doorpost, it's covered with blood, they're good to go. They look out the window, they see him pass by, they shout and they scream, they praise God even more. Awesome. They've seen the goodness, they've seen the mercy, they've seen the love, and they've seen the very presence of God protect them through the blood. Here comes the second house. Little Timmy peeks through the window. He's looking out. He sees the angel of death is coming. He starts to freak out. What's he going to do? What's next? I don't know which way to go. I don't know what's going on. I just did this. I just did it. I disobeyed my parents. I smoked a cigarette. I drank a little bit of liquor. I don't know what to do. I'm going to die. Angel of death stops. Takes a big long gander at everything. He hears the sound of sin in the house. He knows that it's there. But he looks at the doorpost. He is looking at the doorpost, right? Cool. He looks at the doorpost, and what does he see? He sees blood. What does he do? He moseys on down Pleasant Street to the next house. Timmy, peering through the blinds, all of a sudden gets wide-eyed. And all of a sudden he realizes something that maybe every one of you and maybe our church needs to start helping people to realize today. It didn't matter about the sin on the inside of that house. What mattered was the blood that was plastered on the outside of that house. You see, salvation in our relationship with God doesn't really matter about the sin on the inside of our lives. What matters is the fact that Jesus Christ died on Calvary's cross in order that all of that would be relinquished, that it would be eliminated, that it would be done away with. What do you think after the angel of death passes by, Timmy's first thought is? Well, it's fairly evident. It's fairly clear. Any human being in their right mind would think this very thought. Wow. God really is good. God really is merciful. God really is all that and a bag of potato chips. You know what the state of Timmy is after the angel passes by? It's one of recognizing the mercies, the grace, and the love of God. Do you know what happens when somebody truly 100% recognizes the mercy, love, and grace of God? There's a life change. Why? Because they understand just how much they're loved by Him, and because of that, they start loving Him more. I want to challenge you today. Consider this. The more you study the Bible, looking through the paradigm of God's love, the more you're going to love Him. The more you're going to understand His goodness, His grace, His mercy, and the better quality of life you're going to live. Timmy saw the angel of death pass by. He understood that the blood covered the outside, and because of that, he was free to love God on the inside. Do you know? No matter what you may look like or think that you are, you're free to love God on the inside. This is Ron Kennedy for another ATW Short. I love you, and we'll see you next time.